Wow. Where do we even start? This is Matt, everyone. Matt and I worked together at my first staff job where I started as an ER tech, and Matt ended up being my preceptor. So Matt has a lot of the perspective that I had.
By the way, that's a shitty time to start as a new grad. The day of the COVID lockdowns.
It was.
That was probably a dumb idea. You shouldn't have done that.
Well, I had no choice.
It was only going to be 2 weeks of lockdowns.
It was
you should have
not
just waited.
planned,
Remember?
everyone. It was not planned that way.
Lockdowns were only supposed to be 2 weeks. You could have waited.
I could have. That's true.
Duh.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 years.
Flatten the curve. Flatten the curve.
2 years.
2 years.
But anyway, so Matt, why don't you talk about how when I went from an ER tech to a new grad, because Matt was actually my preceptor during COVID.
I was.
So let's start from the beginning, because I talked about this last episode, how difficult it was for me to transition from ER tech to ER nurse and the hurdles I had to go through that I probably shouldn't have had to go through.
Well, I think everybody has to go through those hurdles, especially if you're an ER tech. I kind of had the same path as you when I got into emergency medicine about 22 years ago. I started as an EMT basic in Southern California, and I started scooping people up off the asphalt and dropping them off in the ER. And then I kind of lucked into an ER tech job about a year and a half after starting as an EMTB. And
can you tell our audience what EMTB means?
Oh, EMT basic. It's just a BLS level, basic life support level EMT. So there's 3 levels of EMT. There's basic, intermediate, and paramedic. So California doesn't use intermediates. There's only basics and paramedics. And so I got my basic because that's a 6-month class, and a paramedic is like a year course, and it's hard to get in. There's a thing about it and how you get into paramedic school. It's a lot like nursing school. And so anyway, I got a job as a ER tech. And so I had that kind of similar experience to Allie in that I went from tech to nurse. And so I kind of knew how much different it is, how much of a difference there is. So as a tech, you're there for everything and you experience everything, but you're not responsible for everything. Ultimately, it falls on the nurse. Everything does. Maybe more physically demanding because you're asked to be everywhere all the time. And God bless ER techs. If you're an ER tech, we love you.
Yes, truly.
You're amazing.
You guys are awesome.
You're the backbone of the ER. So,
and unit clerks.
And
shout out unit clerks.
Unit clerks are amazing too. Yeah, if you have a shitty unit clerk or shitty techs, it's going to be a rough day in the ER. So Allie was a great tech. She was one of our best techs. She was a hard worker, and she was competent, and she knew what she was doing. So when she was going through nursing school, I was like, oh yeah, she'll be a great nurse. And then when she graduated, she asked me if I'd precept her. And I said, yeah, sure.
This was before I had any offer to work in the ER.
Yeah. So with my history of going from tech to RN, I knew what obstacles would be in her way and the different stress loads that you think because you work in the emergency room as a tech that you're like, oh, it's just a different role, but it's not. There's a mental price that you need to pay. There's a forging of the mind, I guess, for lack of a better term, that you have to change the way you think about the patients, and the responsibility of taking care of the patients takes its toll on you mentally and physically.
Do you think that's just the ER though? Or do you think that's
No, I think all nurses, like if you would have started on med surg, you would have had the same issue. Um, I never worked anything but ER, so I don't know. Um, I don't know what it's like to be precepted in med surge, or because all I've ever done is ER, but I imagine it's similar, but ER is a little more fast paced, and in on med surge you get your 4 or 5 patients, 6 if you're 7, 8, 9 if you're in a no
No ratio.
ratio area, but um, and you're you get those, and you may have those all week, or you may have most of them all week, or you may have uh, you may have one admit during a shift, or maybe two. I guess a horrible day would be like all 5 of your patients turn over. I don't know. I never worked med surge, but
Yeah.
so I don't know what a horrible day is for them. But at any rate, the ER is like a constant revolving door of chaos. So it's just a different beast. Um, but I think that mental stress of being responsible for the patients is definitely something that new grads aren't ready to deal with. And a new grad, especially like one that doesn't have any actual patient care experience other than their clinicals, because you're going from book knowledge to reality, and those two things don't have anything to do with each other. They're just, truthfully, nursing school, in my opinion, is a scam, and the whole thing should be scrapped and trashed, and it should be more of a taught as a on the job apprenticeship. So just like a welder or a journeyman carpenter or something like that. Like, yeah, you can have the didactic portion of it. Let's say for a year of studying, basic medical stuff, and then your last year should just be bedside with a preceptor. And that 2 years uh, should be how you become a nurse, because you spend 2 years doing didactic and learning stuff out of a book. And you take your NCLEX and you hit the floor, and you're like, none of this shit has anything to do with anything. None of this is reality. Care
Yeah.
plans? No. How much time did you spend doing care plans?
Long time. Too
Now your
long.
patient shows up with a diagnosis, you click it, and care plans
Yeah.
loaded.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's a waste of time.
I agree.
So and we don't even do care plans in the ER. So the whole thing is dumb. And especially with other specialty nursing things like ICU, or other specialty departments, there should be on the job training for that for a year. I mean, precepting is 3 months unless you get bounced, and then you have to do another month, and then
Mm-hmm.
another month, and then they may just can you if you can't get it within 5, 6 months. So, yeah, I think there's real problems with the nursing system, but it's not like it's going to change. It's been that way forever, and so it is what it is.
Yeah. So around that time when before you started precepting me, I was having a lot of trouble with even getting the position as ER nurse. I was about to graduate in January of 2020, and I had asked our director if I could have you as my preceptor and I could work in the emergency room. And I remember her telling me that she didn't think I was ready. And I want to know from your perspective, as the nurses on the floor around me, as an ER tech, did you think I was ready to be an ER nurse? Is there really a block that far where you have to start on tele or med surge?
No, I knew you were ready because you were an ER tech. That's you were absolutely ready. You had a classmate who worked in the hospital who she offered a job to. The director offered a job to, who had zero experience. She basically was in nursing school, and she was a phlebotomist, and God love her, she's probably a good nurse and everything, and she did well, but she had zero experience. So that director was a bitch, and she was stupid, and she caused tons of problems, and you know who you are. I hate you. I'm the mean nurse. 22 years in the ER. I'm the mean nurse. You don't want me. That's why I don't do
Yeah, you
bedside anymore.
do.
You
You
don't
do
want me.
want him
If you're
because he
dying,
has
if you're
the
dying, you want
knowledge.
me. If you want me to hold your hand and tell you you're special and you're pretty, you don't want
He's
me.
not the one.
No, you're not special.
Okay, so eventually I started in the ER. Matt was my preceptor. I got everything that I wanted.
So did I. Just that's a joke. I'm just joking. We weren't together back then.
No, we weren't
No.
yet. No. And so 3 months I graduate from my preceptorship and Matt sends me on my way.
And I left the ER after that.
Yeah.
I opened another ER.
Yeah, he opened a standalone emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
How did you like that?
Oh, I loved it. It was great. Opening an ER is fun because nobody knows it's open. Especially a freestanding because they don't know what it is. It's not attached to a hospital. So for months we were saying like, ooh, we saw 5 patients today in a 12-hour shift. It was so easy. By the time I left there, it was getting pretty busy. We were seeing like 30 patients in like 12 hours with 2 nurses, which it wasn't too bad because they're all fairly minor cases, but it got busy. But I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
I would do per diem at a freestanding if one popped up again. I would do that again.
With what you know about the medical system now,
I mean, yeah.
go work in the ER.
I mean, ideally, no. I don't want to go back to bedside. I have no desire to go back to bedside. Yeah. But if I was gonna go back, freestanding would be the way to go, I think.
Okay. So you're at the freestanding, I'm at the main, and it's COVID time now. That's probably why your ER was so empty. You guys opened during the height of COVID.
It was kind of like it had plateaued. It was July of 2020. So everything was still locked down, but the ER lockdowns had been lifted because there was different phases of the lockdown. Mm-hmm. The first, you remember when we first closed, we were turning people away. The first one was
when I was a new grad.
Yeah, we were like get out of here. We are closed to regular business unless like you have to be dying. It was weird.
Which what ERs should be if you're dying, you should be going there. But
chronic medical problems are never cured in the ER.
What?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. But we opened it in July. So there was still like a ton of COVID, we got them all the time. And we had to make like makeshift isolation COVID rooms in the freestanding ER. And so it wasn't too bad though. It was just kind of it was a little better because we didn't have the ambulance traffic is way less, and it just there wasn't much you could do for those patients because nobody knew what they were doing. And then they were trying all the monoclonal antibodies, but they had to have a prescription. And then we had primary care doctors sending in people to the ER to get an infusion of monoclonal antibodies. And it was like, what? That's not what we do here. And then so the PCP would write a prescription and the ER doctor would have to review it and decide if they wanted to reorder it as an ER order. The whole thing was a mess. It sucked. But it was COVID.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And you were at the main still.
Yeah. I don't even know if the vaccines were out yet.
I don't remember when I got mine. I was all gung-ho for the vaccine. That was before I got red pilled.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
I got red pilled hard after COVID.
What was your breaking point?
It started with the bullshit that the director with the masks. That's where I started questioning everything because She came out and she was like, "Oh, we got plenty of PPE. Don't worry about it. We're good." Great. Good to know. Thanks for the info. I didn't think we didn't have enough. Why wouldn't we? And then a couple days later, she comes out. Okay, so things have changed, and now we're going to start reusing N95s. And I was like, wait a minute. I've been doing this for a minute, and you're not supposed to use those more than once. You leave the room and throw it away because it kind of defeats the purpose of walking around the ER with COVID cooties stuck in your N95 mask.
Exactly.
And then you remember, like we used to have a thing like you'd gown up,
Don and doff.
and
you
you
go
throw it
through
away.
this in nursing school.
Yeah, so you don't spread COVID cooties to your next patient. That's why you don't take your little yellow bunny suit and walk around the ER in it when you come out of an isolation room, right? That's why we don't just wear one isolation suit every day.
Yeah.
Because you're going to spread whatever you were in the room with. And then I started questioning. I said, well, first they said, oh, you don't need N95s. This is droplet precaution only. I said, great. That makes sense. Thank you. And then a couple days later, well, we want you to wear N95s. And I said, well, why? It's droplet precaution. And she goes, well, maybe. I'm like, what do you mean maybe? It is or it isn't. How do we not know this? This is like easy science, right? Have we never had a coronavirus before? No, it's been around forever. It was just COVID-19. It was the 19th version, whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't know if it's airborne. Because I told my director, I said, if this is airborne, we're effed. Every single human on the planet's going to get this. Doesn't matter. You can wear an N95 all you want because it's airborne and it doesn't matter. And they were like, well, let's just do the stop. And she actually told me to like stop like making trouble, Matt. I'm like, I'm not making trouble. I'm just using fucking logic.
Yeah.
Like
she said that a lot too.
Yeah. I was like, I'm using logic. Like yesterday it was surgical masks only and droplet precaution. And now it's N95. And then a couple of days later it was like, well, we're going to reuse the N95s.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, what the fuck? Like, none of this shit makes sense. This is all bullshit.
And it was like she was reading from like an email letter every day. Something changed. Whoever was giving her, it was coming from the gods of the,
it was
administration industry or whatever.
They're basically, it was like, keep the cows calm. We need the workers
herd them up
to keep like with just
but
everybody.
Also, it wasn't just calm. It was keep calm, but keep them scared. Because we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they didn't have any answers. So like, they were just making shit up.
Yeah.
And doing it in a piss poor, nonsensical, non-logical way. And that's when I really started to go, what is going on?
Yeah.
Why don't we know any of this stuff? And who's in charge? And no, nothing. Yeah, it's just a bunch of crickets.
Yeah. So after you got the vaccine, we both got it around the same time. You got it like a month before me, the first dose.
I was Pfizer, man. I was like, bring it on. Let's do it. I'm on board. I was all for vaccines.
Yeah.
I used to get my flu shot every season, and I was all for it.
And after the vaccine, talk about the symptoms you had after.
Well, so I got the vaccine, and then I started like noticing I had like a rapid heart rate all the time, and I felt kind of short of breath all the time. And I'd take my blood pressure. And before I got the vaccine, I was a fairly fit guy, and my blood pressure was always like 110 systolic, 120 systolic over 60s diastolic.
Which is good.
Yeah, I was a healthy dude. And then I get the vaccine, and now my blood pressures are 198 over 90. Like, boom. Over, like, I didn't do anything different. I didn't gain a bunch of weight. I didn't do anything. I just all of a sudden, boom, I had these like hypertensive. I'd be sitting in a chair. I remember one time at the FED, we were, sitting around doing nothing, and everybody decided that we wanted to do blood pressures and stuff. And they took mine. It was like 198 over 95 or something like that, or
Wow.
96. I don't remember what it was. And, um, and my heart rate was 109. And everybody's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I feel okay, but that looks bad."
Yeah.
Obviously, that doesn't look
Yeah.
good. But I could feel my heart was like, dun, 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 dun. And I remember going to bed like a few times thinking, man, I have this weird like chest pain weirdness. And I was like, well, if I die, I had a good run.
Did you ever associate it or think at this time that it was because of the
No.
vaccine? Or
Mm-mm.
were you just
No.
feeling these symptoms?
No, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. I didn't think that a vaccine would do that because we'd always been told vaccines are wonderful. They save lives.
They're safe.
They're safe.
They're scientifically
They're filled
proven.
full of unicorn farts and magic, medical dust that prevents. Not only does it prevent infection, but you won't give it to anyone else.
So they
Lies,
say.
lies, all of
That's
it's
another
lies.
thing that I've caught on to now is they changed a lot of the verbiage around what the vaccine does.
Well, they always lied about it. They used bullshit science to say that it was 99% effective at preventing you from getting COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's go. I want that.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's 0% effective at preventing you from getting COVID, and it's 0% effective at preventing you from spreading COVID. And the only benefit it may have is it may potentially keep someone who's chronically ill with multiple comorbidities from being admitted to the hospital. Maybe. We
Yeah.
can't prove that because if you weren't admitted, how do we know you weren't admitted? How do we know you didn't get sick? Like,
Yeah.
the whole thing is stupid. It was all just a money grab.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I in my symptoms and stuff, the eventually, and I got 2 boosters because they made me.
Yeah.
Eventually, my hypertension's gone away and my heart rate's back to normal. But I had a cough for 4 years, and it still comes back every now and then. I'm trying to do some mRNA detox things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they work, but
Giving them a shot.
yeah, give it a try. Like, I want that shit out of my body.
Yeah. And you already have asthma.
I did. Yeah, I do. I had that way before any of this happened, but it triggered something, and I had a daily cough that was. It was really weird because I would be talking, and you remember what it was
Yeah.
like, and
He would just
I
lose his breath and
lose my
start
breath and start
coughing.
coughing and stuff. And the thing is, I never really felt short of breath. It was just this weird
It was an
cough.
asthmatic cough
Yeah,
because you had wheezing.
yeah,
You
I
were
know,
wheezing
wheezing.
and
The only thing I can think of is somehow it caused some chronic inflammation of my lungs. I don't know. Who knows? There's no studies on
there's
any of
no,
this
yeah.
shit.
Who
So
knows if they ever will
yeah,
or if they ever can.
yeah. But my last booster was like 4 years ago
Yeah.
that they made us get, and so
Was it 4? I think it was sooner.
like three and a
Yeah,
half, 3.5.
2022 was the
Yeah,
booster.
yeah.
We were
Maybe.
travel nursing at that point.
Yeah, but it's been a while, and I'm glad that it's gone, and I'm not doing anymore. So
Cheers to that.
yeah,
So we finished up at both of our jobs at the end of 2021 and decided to start traveling together.
we were together at that point.
At that point, we started dating and decided that we needed to get the hell out of that healthcare system. And we went to our first travel contract together. And
Yeah.
I think that really changed my perspective. I don't know about you.
It was fun. It was basically all ERs are the same. They're all, some of them are run better than others, but every single one has the same issues: too many patients, not enough staff, not enough doctors, and every department is just doing their best to keep from drowning. So, and as a travel nurse, you get sent into um, ERs that are understaffed. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
So you're going into a shit show,
Yes.
and then
But there's light at the end of the
yeah,
tunnel.
you only have to do it for 3 months, and then you're like, peace. And
Yeah.
then another benefit is you don't have to deal with any of the management bullshit. So they're like, did you do your modules or whatever? Like, we do them all in the first week of traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're done. You don't even step on the floor until all the CEs and all your modules and corporate compliance and all that nonsense.
Complete.
You do it all up front, and then they're like, okay, we're going to have a meeting. You're like, good luck. I ain't going to be there.
Have a good
You
meeting.
have a good meeting.
We're going to go home and sleep like we
Yeah.
should.
They're like, we have a new policy. Don't care. Not interested. Leave me alone. And we were on night shift a lot of the time too when we traveled. So it was like extra don't care.
Yeah.
They'd come up to us and go, you need to sign that you read this policy. Sure. Okay. Yep. I will do it. There's always something dumb like make sure you double check mark on Epic when you like whatever that has nothing to do with patient care. It's just some moron in an office somewhere came up with something that they thought was good.
Yeah.
So, but I like being able to piece out and just not worry about all the administrative crap that they throw at you nonstop when you're a staff nurse that just never ends. Okay, everybody, we need to do better because we got one bad review. The patient said that nobody saw them for at least 8 hours while they were in the ER, and somebody spit in their face. And we know it happened. Like, what? Shut up. That never happened.
Yeah.
That never happened. That's a crazy person.
Yeah.
So
that's what the ER is full of.
We didn't have to deal with any of that nonsense. So that was what was good about traveling. But at the same time, it was very high stress, and most of the staff treated you like shit because they didn't trust you. You're a travel nurse, so you must suck and be a horrible person because otherwise, why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And so they would just shit on you. They'd be like, hey, we got a 98-year-old female found tucked between her toilet and the wall for 6 days. She's covered in feces. Give it to Allie or Matt.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then, or like, there's a bumsicle who's covered in maggots and is screaming wildly. He's in 4 points. Give it to Allie.
Give it to the female.
Yeah, give it to the female traveler, and I'd be like, I got a room. Give it to me. Like, no, don't give it to her.
That was my experience. I got shit on a lot. People just shit on me everywhere we went. I don't know. I just must give the vibe of let's shit on her.
I think because you're so sweet, they're like, she won't say anything.
That's true.
They do it to me, and I'd go.
You gave them the death stare.
Sure. Put it in my room. I'll be right there. And nobody likes that look. I don't even like
They run away from that.
Run away!
I think at our old job, you were known for not putting up with bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I probably picked the wrong career for. I don't like people. I'm not tolerant of your bullshit. Probably picked the wrong career.
Yeah.
But I do love helping people on the rare occasion when you actually get to help someone as a nurse. Yeah, it may be like once a month.
Yeah.
Once a month. I have a few select stories in my mind that I play over and over again where someone actually, I helped them in a way that altered the direction of their life or saved their life legitimately, and not just for a day while they went to go die in the ICU. I did 1 million of those. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
But where you actually get to make a difference in someone's life, that's rare.
Yeah. And that's I would appreciate the job more if there was more of that. I would feel more fulfilled and I wouldn't feel so abused.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we could get this chronic illness epidemic under control, it would eliminate 60% of the ER traffic,
Yeah,
and and 90% of the stress on the staff and the
absolutely.
system. So it's not overloaded with nonsense and chronic issues that we will not fix in the ER. We cannot fix. You've had CHF for 5 years, and you're exacerbated now. Okay, we're gonna do what we do every time you come in, and we're gonna admit you upstairs, and then you're gonna get discharged in 2 days, or under 2 days. What was it? No, was it 23 hours was
23
ops? Yeah, so
hours.
under one
Yeah.
day, you're gonna get discharged in one day, and then you'll be back in a week because you didn't take the medications, you couldn't get the follow up, no, and it's just this revolving door cycle that never ends.
Yeah.
Uh, but if we
They
could,
call it non-compliance, but I think I have a new perspective. I don't think it's just non-compliance. It's a nation being sickened on purpose.
well, yeah, there's that, but the people that it's a bummer because you have a certain segment of society who are elderly now, or they're Gen Xers who are starting to get in their early late stage of life, in their 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and and the chronic illness, the diabetes, the heart disease, the lung issues, the kidney issues, all these issues that are chronic, are those people are done. We can't undo that damage that has been done. You can't be like, oh, we can fix CHF. You can't. Oh, you got kidney disease because you've been a type 2 for 10 years. You're cooked. We can't fix you.
Yeah.
We can't fix you. There's no pills. There's no medicine. We're not going to grow a new kidney. That technology doesn't exist, and by the time it does, you're going to be dead. That whole generation, and then of course there's boomers. They're even more cooked. They're done.
Yeah.
We can't fix it.
Yeah.
So until the only thing we can do is focus on the
Prevention
people in their
and
40s, early 40s and younger, and prevent them from getting these horrible chronic diseases that has been um, cultivated through shitty food, lack of exercise, just everything wrong with the society that we currently live in.
yeah, I agree. And I want to get to when we were travel nursing and we were at one of our favorite hospitals. We had gone to this hospital a year prior. It was one of our first contracts, and we're back at that hospital working night shift. And I want to get to the part where I had a seizure. What was it like from your perspective? What happened that night?
It was terrifying. The person I love went from being a normal person to uh, essentially catatonic and having uncontrolled seizures. So, and we had no idea why it was happening. And the worst part was nothing worked to stop it. Usually, I've seen a million seizures. People have, seizure disorders, epilepsy, whatever. They come in, we give them, some Ativan or, whatever, and they stop seizing, and then they go home a few hours later once they're stabilized. But nothing worked. Um, they kept just pumping you full of benzos, and nothing stopped it. It did not matter. And the
Did they
doctors,
give me any like seizure medicine too, like Keppra,
yeah, I think they did. They gave,
Depakote or
yeah, they
something?
they threw the kitchen sink at you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they threw everything at you. I mean, it's all kind of a blur because it was, I was working with you when it
Yeah.
was going on.
Yeah, we were working together that night.
Yeah, and you were like, I don't feel right, and I was like, what do you mean you don't feel right? And I remember you said, I don't know, something's wrong, and we put you in this little side triage room, and I took your vitals, and I was talking to you, and I was like, what's wrong, Allie? What's going on? And you just kind of stopped talking, and your pupils just boom dilated, and there was nobody home. You were gone. And
Yeah.
then we like moved you into a bed real quick, and then you started seizing, like actively, seizing, and then everybody stopped what they were doing because they were like, oh shit, one of our nurses is seizing, and doctors came over and we threw the kitchen sink at you, and then nothing stopped it. And I remember the ER doc going, I don't have anything else. I'm going to have to intubate her and put her down, and like hard. And I just was beside myself. I was like, oh, fuck. And that was really hard for me to watch you get intubated. That was awful. And so they did that, and they put you out. You were on propofol, and that worked.
Yeah. For
Um,
a short time.
yeah, and then when you woke up, you started having seizures again, and it just was no answers. And the hospital we were at didn't have uh, neuro that specialized in epilepsy. They had neuro, but um, that wasn't there. They didn't have an EMU, epilepsy monitoring unit. They didn't have any of that special stuff. So they transferred you to um, Stanford. It was
UCSF the first
UCSF.
time.
Yeah, you got a helicopter ride.
I did. Thank God I was asleep because.
Yeah. And then the experience at UCSF was horrible.
Yes. Yes, we need to talk about that
Yeah, that was not
from
okay.
your perspective. So, before I was even awake, when I was still intubated,
Yeah.
let them know what you went through.
Well, so they flew her out. I watched her fly out, and then I drove there. Uh, I think I think you flew out in the morning, and I drove there that day.
Mm.
And I got to. They were holding you in a ICU overflow.
Mm.
You weren't even in the ICU. You were in like this like little side cove with 4 beds and a curtain, and you're intubated. And um, they were like, "Well, we're just going to monitor her," and they had you on propofol and fentanyl, and I remember at least those two. They had a few lines in you, but they only had peripheral lines, and you have shitty
I
veins,
do.
like in general.
Really bad
Yeah,
veins.
and they're better now, but they back then you had shitty veins, and it was hard to get a line on you. Period. And so they had like a 22 gauge in one arm and a 20 gauge in the other. Suboptimal. I don't know why they didn't put a central line in you, or at least they didn't even do a ultrasound guided IV.
Wow.
These are just peripheral lines.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't. There was nothing I could do. They kicked me out at about, I don't know, like 5 p.m., 6 p.m.
Because of
before.
COVID? Was
No,
this their COVID
I
rules?
think it was just
The UCSF rule?
it was like, oh, shift change. We don't allow people to stay in the ICU overnight, and especially this
I
whole
think
thing.
this was an
It was
aftermath of COVID.
it could have been. I don't remember, but they were like, you got to go. I'm like, okay, well, when can I come back? And they're like 8 a.m. I'm like, okay. So um, I came back. I came back the next morning, and I was fucking pissed because your left arm looked like a balloon. They fucking nobody was paying attention to you all night, obviously. And I said, "Hey, how's she been?" She's like, "Well, she's been fighting the meds all night. She hasn't been very sedated." I go, "Well, I think her IV's infiltrated, and all those meds are in her arm. Look at her arm." And they're like, "No, I don't think so." I'm like, "What do you mean you don't look at her arm?" And they're like, "Well, that can happen." And I'm like, at that point, I'd been a nurse for like 17 years or something like that. And I was like, I didn't tell anybody I was a nurse because I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be like, I'm an ER nurse. Watch your fucking tone. You don't know what you're saying. That's what was running through my head, but I didn't say that. I was just like, well, that looks bad. And she's kicking around in the bed with a ET tube sticking out of her.
Maxed out on
Maxed out on
propofol, right?
propofol and fentanyl.
Wow.
And they were like,
Gross.
whoa, yeah, we don't know what to do. I'm like, well, can you get another line maybe and make sure she's getting the meds instead of it being in her tissues and maybe into a vein? And there was that. And then I was like holding your hand, and this bitch of a ICU nurse comes up to me and goes, we don't hold hands. That's stimulating. What you can do is you can touch her here, but don't hold her hand because that's going to make her wake up. I'm like,
I've
bitch,
never heard something like this in my
you're
life.
fucking retarded. She's on max
Never.
propofol, max fentanyl. She's not down. She only weighs 120 pounds. You weren't an alcoholic. You weren't. There was
None
no
of the above.
none of the above. She should be so
I
sedated that
should
I
have
could
been
punch
like,
her in the face and she wouldn't wake up. We don't touch hands. That's stimulating. You want to be like this. I was like, oh, fucking punch you in the fucking face.
wow.
But I maintained and I just
I'm
said,
proud of
okay,
you.
thank you. And because she was not staying sedated. So I stayed with you the whole day and nothing changed. You kind of were in and out of it. You would kind of stir and you wouldn't really open your eyes. So you know, uh, you were just on the barely sedated enough to stay asleep. But I just remember being really frustrated that they didn't have any kind of verified IV access and nobody was listening to me. They didn't care. Who am I? They know what they're doing. They're ICU.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you don't know what you're doing. I think they did get like a 22 in your wrist or something like that on the other side. And I had the guy switch it over. Remember the day shift nurse was really like, oh yeah, that looks infiltrated. And so he stopped pumping shit into that IV and he got another one. And then you went down. I remember that. And then the next, that night, I think they transferred you to another floor.
Hmm.
And
I was still intubated though.
yeah. And then you woke up, they did a sedation vacation and you pulled your ET tube out.
Nice.
And they called me at like 4 a.m. and they're like, well, she's awake and she's extubated.
By
And
herself.
by herself. And I was like, yep, that sounds about right. She's a fighter. And they go, yeah, we know. And I said, well, when can I come? And they said, how about after shift change at like 7 a.m. or whatever, and 7:30. And I was there at 7:30 and you were pissed.
I remember this.
You
I
were
had a reason to be pissed.
pissed. You're like, look at my fucking arm. And I'm like, I know.
Well,
I'm the one
the
that told them
sedation
to.
was making me cuckoo.
Yeah, you were.
I was bawling
Yeah.
my eyes out.
Yeah. And you were like, I don't want to be here. I want to go. I'm like, we can't go.
Yeah.
You're not okay. We have to wait until, you're better. And you were very hypotensive because you're pumped full of drugs and it was not, we couldn't go, and you weren't thinking clearly. Your head was all messed up with.
But that resident still looked me in the eyes and said that I didn't have an infiltrated arm.
Well, no, she was like, oh no, I think it's okay. She goes, but you kept passing out. So it would be talking to you and then you'd go and pass out. And the resident was like, yeah, I don't know why she's doing that. I go, do you think it could be all the propofol that's in her tissue in that arm that's giant and swollen? And when you feel it feels like a wet sponge, do you think maybe that could be it? And she goes, maybe, I don't know.
And then proceeded to give me fentanyl for the pain,
right? Which was
of my left arm that was
right.
infiltrated
right.
with fentanyl and propofol.
Yeah, I was like,
welcome to the medical system.
Yeah, she was suboptimal.
Yeah.
And this was UCSF, and it's supposed to be like the best,
Yeah.
The best. It was not the best.
No. Honestly, it was the same.
Yeah, it was
just as bad as every other
hospital was not the best. It was just kind of average.
Yeah.
They had zero answers.
Yeah.
They didn't know. anything. They
yeah,
didn't. They're like, well, we don't know, but she's not seizing now, so we're going to discharge you home.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, fucking rad,
yeah.
great. So is this going to happen again? They're like, we don't know. We're going to send her home on a bunch of anti-seizure meds, and cross your
And
fingers. And then they're like, make sure you follow up with neurology in like a week. And I'm like, we're travel nurses. Do you have a referral? Nah,
no.
no, you gotta find one. I'm like, find one? Okay,
Poof.
I'll find one. Let me just find one. And then try to find a neurologist who specializes in epilepsy.
Well, they have the epileptologist,
Right,
which
they have
we
an
also
epileptologist.
saw.
Yeah, we saw so many different specialists, and they all went, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. This is a weird one. We don't know.
yeah. I think the neurologist that pissed me off the most was that one time, the astroneurologist.
Oh, fuck that guy. He
Yeah,
can fuck right off.
yeah. I
Yeah.
can't believe that was an actual neurologist that I saw in a hospital.
How is he allowed to
An
be
astroneurologist that
astroneurologist?
studies the stars? Is that what he
No,
told
no.
us?
He studies astrology and
Astrology.
applies it to neurology.
Yeah.
Astrology.
I
You're
literally
fucking,
felt like I was
you
being
know,
punked when he
yeah,
told me this.
your Mars is in retrograde, that kind of shit. That's what
Yeah.
he's talking about. And he applies that to real life medical issues. And I remember sitting there going, well, I don't believe you.
I remember you
Yeah,
telling him.
I said, with all due respect, I don't believe you. And he goes, well, I don't think you respect me. I go, you're right. I don't respect you or what you're saying. I think you're full of shit. I told him that straight to his face.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, we all want the best for her. I'm like, well, you don't have any answers. You're telling me
Well, it was
nonsense.
also frustrating because that same week, the epileptologist that we've been seeing consistently told us that I was at sudden, unexpected death in epilepsy patients. And then I'm in the hospital after having a seizure, and I'm hooked up to an EEG post being drugged and nothing showing up. So this astroneurologist who studies my astrology through whatever butthole he's looking at
Yeah.
told me that I was having spells.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Like dizzy
witchcraft.
spells or
Yeah.
what?
I mean, I know they used to say spells to describe non-epileptic seizures, but like it's such a shitty term. It's very like with someone who's having a seizure, they really don't care if it's epileptic or not. It's a misfiring of the brain's wiring, and on top of that, you can't say it was non-epileptic because she was already drugged when you did the EEG, you douchebag. You can't prove a negative. You
And
don't
that's what was
have the
happening
science.
everywhere we went.
Everywhere we'd call 911, paramedics would show up. She'd be full blown seizing. They're like, oh shit, she's seizing. Benzos. She'd get to the ER and they go, oh shit, she's still seizing. Benzos. And they're like, we're going to tube her. And they tube her. And then she'd wake up and they go, well, we did an EEG and she didn't have a seizure at all. Well, yeah, you just gave her 8 pounds of Ativan. Of course, she's not going to have a seizure. And they go, we don't think she's epileptic. Yeah. But then we had some epilepsy recorded on
even
some
that
EEGs.
Week. Even that week, the epileptologist
was like, oh, she just had a seizure. And so she's post-ictal right now. We were in his office and he's like, so she's got to go to the ER. And we're like, okay, great. That's proof. And then we saw somebody else and he's like, no, that's not proof. I don't believe that. I'm like, it's either fucking science or it isn't. And this is where I really started to hate all doctors.
And the medical
system. Because nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about.
When I started getting very frustrated.
I knew it because I worked in the ER and I'd seen doctors like Google shit on how to do stuff. And I was like, well, that nobody can know everything. It's fine, whatever. I get that.
I Googled things.
But like they come in all like, oh yeah, I'm a neurologist. I know. Like, you don't fucking know shit.
No,
you don't know anything.
They don't know anything.
One guy was like, well, if this keeps happening, we'll probably just cut out a section of her brain.
That happened in the beginning.
Yeah, that
They
was in the
started talking
beginning.
about brain surgery in the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah. And then
before they even knew anything.
yeah. And so on one hand, you've got neurologists going, well, I don't know. We don't know what this is. I don't even think it's epilepsy. It's just some kind of weird seizure activity. And then you go to your epileptologist and she's sitting there going, yeah, if you keep having these seizures, you're probably going to die. And then you're like, isn't that concerning to anybody in the medical field here? Because it's concerning to us. We're
Yeah.
sitting in the office. She's bawling because
I don't.
they just
And
told
I'm
her she's
on
going to
so many
die.
drugs.
Oh, the
I was
drugs
so
were the drugs
drugged.
were horrible. And they're like, man, basically you could just die. We don't know why.
Just
And
flat out.
nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Maybe we should. Could you recommend somebody else? Because you're just telling me,
Yeah.
like, okay, great. It's very reassuring.
Yeah.
Thanks for your medical opinion. I was just, because I'm a dick, I'd be like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, towards the end, especially, I would take no shit from any doctor. Yeah, none, because there was ER doctors. The last time you had a seizure and they wanted to intubate you and transfer you, I said, absolutely not. Because by that time I had figured out how to deal with her seizure activity without benzos or anything, and that's where we kind of figured out somewhat what it was. But it, it we could control it through medication, but I had to figure it out. Nobody else could figure it out. And then when I brought it up to the neurologist, he was like, "Oh yeah, oh okay."
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, well, that's probably what it is,
Yeah. But was it even what it is, or what?
Well,
were those just
it worked.
working?
It worked. We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know
exactly. But it was definitely a physiologic seizure event because medication stopped it.
Yeah.
The right medications.
Yeah.
Not benzos.
Yeah.
Or any of that other shit, because those didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And and it was just nobody cared enough to really look into it. They tried all the normal stuff that works and it didn't. And they were like, good luck. You may be okay or you might die. We don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really, I had already been kind of like, from COVID, I was like, oh man, this whole system's messed up. And then going through what I went through with you, with all, like, I don't know, how many times were you intubated? Like 5 times, 4 times, 5 times? I don't know. And nobody having any answers. And they all just everybody kept telling me something different. And then, and then they were calling them spells and it was all in your head. And I'm like, oh, it's pseudo seizures. Really?
Mm-hmm. That was one too.
Yeah. Have you seen pseudo seizures? Because they're kind of funny. This is not a pseudo seizure. Like,
they better not be intubating me for a pseudo.
Yeah, please don't intubate.
Please don't intubate
I don't know if you know many ER doctors, but I've never seen one intubate someone who's having a pseudo seizure. Yeah. And hey, by the way, how did you control your pupil not being able to dilate while you were having a pseudo seizure? Yeah. That's really impressive.
I know. I'll teach you guys one day.
Just blown pupils and like, if
you ever want to be intubated, I'll teach you how to blow your own pupils.
Yeah, no light reaction, nobody's home. And the videos, if you follow Allie on the Realistic RN, you've seen the images and the videos of her intubated and stuff. I took those and some other ones of her seizing, and I showed them to the neurologists, and they're like, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty much that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
We thought maybe it would be like good to document videos so they knew
I could
what
show
it looked
them.
like.
Right.
Nope. Didn't do anything.
None of it helped. No. None of it helped. But, getting off all the meds, getting your life right, getting...
How was that for you when I told you I wanted to...
It was scary because...
I was ready to cold turkey.
I know, but you were on Lamictal and you were on all these, like... Keppra, and you can't just depression. Cold turkey. I'm like...
I said I had to.
I know, but I was like, please, just cut your doses in half for a week and then a half again, because you were at the max dose on everything.
Mm-hmm.
You were at the max dose on all of those, and you'd been on them for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want you going through withdrawals, because who the fuck knows what that'll do to you.
Yeah, I was longer than a couple months, probably
Yeah.
half a year,
Yeah,
6 months.
yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
But, and I was like, I talked you into slow dosing it like for 2
Quick
weeks.
slow dose.
Yeah, and then at 2 weeks, you're like, I'm done. I'm off of these.
Done.
And she just stopped taking it. And thank God she didn't have any serious withdrawals from those. But within probably about a month, you were feeling better.
Yeah. Well, I was correcting my diet. I was monitoring my nervous system. I got really bad anxiety.
Well, yeah.
Really bad anxiety. And I think it was medication induced.
Yeah.
And situational.
Yeah.
For the fact that they had no answers and they were just sending me from doctor to doctor.
Yeah. The whole thing was anxiety producing. I was anxious all the time. I was worried that I was going to come home and you'd be dead on the floor. That's why I stopped doing bedside. That's why I got a fake nursing job, which I love.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. Now I'm a telephone nurse, and I love it, because I have not wiped ass in 2 years.
Me neither.
And if a patient yells at me on the phone, I say, okay, I'm going to end the call. Goodbye.
You have a beautiful phone voice.
Yeah. So I got the stay-at-home telephone nursing job so I could be with her while she recovered and make sure she was okay, because I was like, if I go work a 12-hour shift and she has a seizure an hour from me being gone, there's nobody home. The cats aren't going to be like, let me call meow 111. It's not going to happen. You're just going to lay there and seize all day long. And I was like, I can't work. So, I had that stress. It's like, I can't work in the ER because you're going to die on me. And so thank God I got this job.
Yeah. It really did save us.
Yeah. And, you haven't had a seizure in
a year and a half.
Yeah.
Over a year
and a half.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna.
Yeah.
So.
So if you could give advice to a patient advocate out there advocating for someone that they love, what would a piece of advice that you would give them?
Don't be afraid to stand up for the person you're advocating for. I don't care if they're a doctor. Most of the time, especially if like the stuff they're doing isn't working, push harder. Because now, like, you don't have to be a dick if they're like, let's say the patient you're advocating for has sepsis and they are treating the sepsis and the patient's getting better. Okay. I mean, advocate for them, but if they're getting better, that's one thing. But if nothing's changing and nobody's doing anything and nobody seems to care, or I guess what was most frustrating is they would tell you a diagnosis and they'd be so confident that they knew what they were talking about. And this is it. We're just going to cut out a little bit of her brain. Like, what? No, we're not going to do that. Or, well, we need to intubate her. No, you don't. Don't do it. Or sometimes they want to CT her. She had like 7 CT scans in like 9 months because I couldn't get them to stop. They wouldn't stop scanning her. And she would have had like 12 or 13. But at one point I just put my foot down and said, you will absolutely not scan her. She does not have a brain bleed. She does not have encephalopathy. This is her seizure disorder. I'm telling you that's what this is. You will not scan her. And they'd be like, oh, okay. I had to get mean. And
assertive. You have to be assertive.
Yeah. Like, you have to put your foot down and say, absolutely not. This is unacceptable. You are going to harm her if you do this.
I don't think a lot of them understand that. A lot of the doctors and even healthcare workers, because
they just go along because they go, well, this is what we do.
This is the
She's
protocol.
seizing, so let's intubate her.
This is what we know. This is what we were taught.
Right.
This is what we were educated on.
Right. And I would come in having been through so many of these. I don't know how many times we were in the ER,
Too many
and I would
times.
say, do not do that. This is what you do. Like, do what I'm telling you. If that doesn't work, then do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But listen to me because I've done
I
this
am the
now.
captain.
I am the captain now. Look at me. But I started getting like really pushy with it, and um, I wouldn't take no for an answer. Like, no, you're going to do what I tell you because I know what I'm talking about. It's not easy. Doctors are very intimidating. They're like, I'm a doctor, like, yeah,
Yeah.
I got in fights with several doctors over her. That one, what was his name? That I kept telling him what to do. I said, can you please give her, I don't really want to go into what medications it was because I don't think it's anybody's business, but can you please give her this and this? And he goes, I'm not giving that. It's contraindicated with seizures. I go, she's already having the seizures. They're not stopping with what you're doing. Give her what I'm telling you and they'll stop. She's already having them. She's not going to have more of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I can't do that. And he wouldn't look at me. And let's just call him Chad. I go, well, Chad, you should probably look at people when they're talking to you and pay attention to their experience. And he was all like, and he fat lumbered out of the room with his stupid broken knee. I hated that guy. Fucking idiot.
Another tip: don't listen to doctors if they don't look healthier than
Yeah,
you.
and he had no idea what he was doing. He was a burned out ER doctor who had been doing it for far too long. He was stupid and lazy and just horrible. You know who you are, whatever your name is.
Oh, Chad. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on here, popping up and sharing your side of the story and
Yeah,
sharing it with the listeners.
sure. I'm actually a delightful person. I'm not this angry usually.
He is.
It's just when you got to fight for the person you love, and it stirs up emotion and stuff. It makes me, I go back into that fight mode. Like I have to protect you from this shitty system that we're in.
Yeah.
So if I seem angry, viewers and listeners, I'm not really. It's just we're going over sensitive stuff that reminds me of the trauma that we went through. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right. If you guys enjoyed this episode, go ahead and share this, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.